So today I'm excited to introduce Tom Mandel. Tom's someone I met through the Northern Colorado Manufacturing Partnership, and he has a long history of working with manufacturing businesses in a leadership capacity. I've really enjoyed the thoughtfulness that he's brought to the table from all of his experience. We've had a number of good conversations about how to make good manufacturing companies better. And I thought today would be an awesome opportunity for me to interview Tom and talk a little bit about some of his philosophies around leadership and making companies stronger through their awesome assets, which are their employees. So, Tom, thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure, Ben. And thank you for all the work you're doing in the NOCO Manufacturing Partnership as well.
You bet. So I just want to start with, as far as leaders go, could you give me a little definition in from your perspective? What is a leader?
Yeah, that's a great question. And of course, there's a lot of definitions. The one I like to use, though, is leadership is essentially influence. And that can be good, that can be bad. Everybody is a leader in essence, because everybody has the opportunity to influence others around them.
And in regards to that, you've spoken before about getting the right people on the bus. What does that mean to get the right people on the bus?
Okay, great. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to touch on the one preceding it, which is, again, another principle from a book that a lot of people may be familiar with, Good to Great. The first principle among great companies is really the leader themselves exhibiting deep personal humility and yet strong ambition for the organization. That's fundamental and essential within any high-performing organization. Next, then, is what you're referring to, getting the right people on the bus and in the right seats. What that means is, and by right people, we're talking about people that share the behavioral values of the organization and have the knowledge, skills, and drive to be successful in the specific role that they find themselves. Absolutely critical. And it's often overlooked, especially the behavioral values part. Somebody would be looking for somebody that just has, they have, they know how to do this job, they've done it before. But if they don't fit from a cultural standpoint, it'll be a train wreck.
Do you have any thoughts about when you have the right people that are in the wrong seats of the bus?
Yeah. That's happened a number of times. That's actually a better problem to have, if you will. Having the right people, within the organization. If you're a large enough organization and you have, other positions or other opportunities, you want to hold on to that person and move them into a position that uniquely takes advantage of their strengths. The more difficult decision actually is, what do you do with a person that has the knowledge and skills, maybe even be achieving good results, but they're doing it in a way that's inconsistent with who you are as an organization? And I would suggest to you the best thing you can do, you can try to help that person, but it's very difficult to change who a person is. Usually what you have to do is move them on to another organization where their particular values would be accepted.
I think this relates to another question I have for you. In regards to communication, the role of a leader with regards to communication, and perhaps what you mentioned just a moment ago, but tell me a little bit more about leadership communication from your standpoint.
Yeah, super, super important. One of the most important things a leader can do. Obviously, the leadership team needs to establish, clarity within the organization. What I mean by that is everybody understands, where you're going, what your values are, strategies, tactics, rules, responsibilities. And then that information then is communicated repeatedly throughout the organization. You can't just do it one time and expect folks to say, oh yeah, I got it, and we're off to the races. But rather it's something that you need to again impress again and again and again. But it's a beautiful thing when, again, you have the right people in the right seats and people understand, their part, in the organization. That proverbial flywheel really starts to move. And it's amazing what an organization can accomplish when that's the case.
It's interesting what you're bringing up. I'm curious, do you consider all leaders to be coaches?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I
And
mean, in addition to establishing clarity, within the organization, and of course also ensuring that every employee clearly understands their responsibilities and the expectations, the KPIs that they're expected to achieve. But you can't stop there. You don't dictate how they go after those things. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that they understand, what needs to be accomplished, and you want them to use their own intelligence, creativity, and experience to get there. However, coaching is super important, whether that's one-to-one or just organic, on the shop floor. There's a variety of contexts. The one I don't like is in the annual performance review. If somebody learns something new there, then the manager has failed.
that's a good point, Tom. The
Would you
when
have
you
you have a wasp coming after you, Ben?
do
I saw you get up real quick.
I had someone running a belt sander outside, so I decided to move back indoors. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So, as we talk about coaching, I am curious about rewarding employees. What are your favorite techniques as leaders and coaches? How do they motivate and reward the staff that they're working with?
Yeah, another great question. So again, having the right leadership in place, people that are in the right positions, establishing clarity within the organization, coaching then for better performance. The next principle there is, ensuring that you are recognizing exemplary performance. And by that, I mean certainly the achievement of results, but also the degree to which people are embodying the values of the organization. And that ought to be a normal, organic thing that you're doing all the time. But you ought to have some systems in place to ensure that you're being intentional about it. For example, one of the companies I've led, we did it. We had all the employees were able to recognize each other for how their teammates were exemplifying the values of the organization, or how they went over and above to achieve results that were important to the customer. And then we would publicly recognize those folks, on a regular basis. It was a lot of fun. Everybody would do that. And two things. One is a person feels really good. You know what? We all need encouragement. Everyone needs encouragement, right? And we usually gave gift cards and things like that just to reinforce it. But by doing that, you're also kind of establishing expectation for the rest of the organization, saying, "Hey, look, these are the kinds of things that we really value." And so it kind of indirectly also communicates, kind of the expectation, I guess, that we like to have of every employee.
That's excellent. It it brings up another question that you talk about rewarding employees, but one of the
Mm-hmm.
struggles I've had as a leader and as a
Mm-hmm.
coach is that I sometimes tend to allow my employees not achieve the goals that I've set out for them, that I'm too much of a softie a little bit. And we've
Yeah.
talked briefly about this before. What are your thoughts about leadership when you're dealing with, shall we say, mediocre performance?
Yeah, and of course, recognizing exemplary performance is lots of fun, and leaders generally enjoy doing that. And if they have a process in place to ensure that they're being intentional, that comes easy. But yeah, not holding employees responsible or accountable for achieving, the results or exhibiting the behaviors that are expected within the organization is a big disservice, not only to the organization, but to the colleagues of that employee and to the employee, him or herself. I really believe that the most compassionate thing that a manager can do is, holding accountable these employees. Obviously, we're going to do everything we can to help them improve, but just to overlook not meeting expectations is a big disservice to, again, as I said, the employee, him or herself, their colleagues, as well as the organization as a whole. It has to be addressed.
I want to finish off by asking an interesting question that came to mind during our discussion today.
Mhm.
Um, can anybody in an organization play a leadership role in your mind?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as I said before, leadership is influence. And, within any organization I'm leading, my expectation is that we'll have leaders at every level. I want everyone, positively influencing the organization. It's not just for people that have, the big titles, if you will, or the formal, responsibility. I want everyone, to be a leader, which means, again, humility and then ambition, for the goals and mission of the organization.
My big takeaways of our conversation we've had today is the success of an organization depends on two things. You're going to maybe add some others, but the two things that I took away from our talk today is it's about having the right people and the right leadership. Is
Right.
that it, or what would you add to what I just said?
Hmm. Well, it certainly starts there, because not that leadership or being in a, let's say, a leadership position or even having a formal title is important of itself, because everyone's role is important within the organization. However, if a leader does well and embraces, these principles, everyone will benefit from that. And that's why good leadership is so important. When the leader gets better, everyone gets better. It also makes for a much, better, work environment. The second principle, yes, being in the right, spot that is consistent with your behavioral values and that's a fit with your unique strengths. And you feel the wind go through your hair. You're feeling good. You're killing it. It's just an awesome thing. And being in organizations like that is a blast. People coming up with great ideas and doing stuff you would have never thought of. And, in the business, in this case, achieving great results. It's fun to be a part of.
That's awesome. Tom, great information you've shared with us today. Anything else you would like to leave us with before we wrap this up?
Uh, Not really.
It's
Thank
good
you.
stuff.
Pleasure to be with you.
You bet. So, Tom, again, I want to also thank you for your service. You're a board member at Manufacturers Edge, one of our premier, it's the premier
Mhm.
manufacturing organization in Colorado. So thank you for doing
Yeah,
that. And
my
I will
pleasure.
also tell people that you are someone that I think anybody could come to in regards to what we were talking about today with leadership. You're an expert
Mm,
in manufacturing, someone I look up to.
Thank
So
you.
I will
Thank
just
you.
offer that out to everybody as well. And Tom, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you, Ben. You're very kind. Take care.
Great. Thanks.